We the me power chopa. Musa competition when you ajo. Musa what a rules first. We the mate. But dabe no better way. Lamborghini no. Wait.
That guy, you know that guy. Maybe you follow him on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X. You follow him everywhere. Or maybe you went to school with that guy. Maybe you are that guy himself. He posts every day the cars, the fits, the trips, the money, the lifestyle that screams, yeah, Boganie, Baba, I've arrived, I'm winning. This is what success looks like. And everyone is watching, everyone is comparing, everyone is either inspired or quietly dying inside because they are not that guy yet. Is any of it real? And that's the question nobody asks out loud. Because I've been watching this culture of performance wealth spread through Ghanaian youth like a slow fire, and what is leaving behind in real financial decisions, real mental health, real life choices is something we need to talk about seriously. This isn't about judging anyone. It's about understanding something that is genuinely costing us as individuals and as a country. Here's what we are covering today. We are going to look at what fake wealth culture actually is and why Ghana is particularly vulnerable to it right now. We are going to follow the money and see exactly what it costs young people who get caught in it. And we are going to look at something deeper, the psychological engine underneath all of these. Why smart, capable people get pulled into performing a lifestyle they haven't built yet. But we are also going to talk about the other side, because the same energy driving people into fake wealth, the ambition, the anger, the desire to be seen as successful is real. It's not the problem. What people are doing with it is the problem. By the end of this video, I think you are going to see this conversation very differently from how most people frame it. Okay, so let's get into it. Let me throw some numbers at you. Ghana's personal loan market has exploded over the last decade. Microfinance institutions, mobile money lenders, fintech apps. Borrowing has never been easier or faster. You can get a loan on your phone in under 5 minutes, and a significant portion of those loans, particularly among young borrowers, are not going into businesses, not into education, not into assets. They are going into clothes, phones, parties, experiences designed to be photographed. Now you might hear that and think, okay, that's irresponsible. And maybe it is, but here's the more interesting question. Why would a young person with no stable income take on real debt with real interest rate to fund lives or to fund a lifestyle they can't afford? What is driving that decision? Because it's not stupidity. It's Ghana's youth are not stupid. But here's what really got me thinking. This pattern, performance wealth, lifestyle debt, the pressure to appear successful before you are, isn't unique to Ghana. But the intensity of it here, the specific reasons, is taking root so deeply among Ghanaian youth specifically. Those are unique, and they tell a story about something much bigger than social media vanity. So what's really going on underneath all of this? There are 4 things driving this, and they are all connected. 1. Social media collapsed the distance between aspirations and reality. For most of human history, people compare themselves to their immediate circle, your neighbor, your cousin, the people in your community. That was the reference point for what success looked like and how quickly you were supposed to achieve it. Social media destroyed that. Now a 20-year-old in Kumasi is comparing himself daily, hourly, to the most curated, most polished, most financially extreme version of people across the board. And those people aren't showing their mortgage stress or their business failures or the loan they took to rent that Airbnb for a weekend. They are showing the highlight, the peak, the moment. And the algorithm rewards the peak. More engagement on the flex than on the honest post. More followers for the lifestyle than for the process. So the incentive system is actively selecting for performance over reality. The result? Young people are receiving a completely distorted signal about what success looks like, how fast it arrives, and what it costs. And they are calibrating their own lives against a financial standard. That's not a character flaw. That's what happens when you design a system that rewards performance and then drop an entire generation into it. Now, let's get into driver 2, or the things that is driving this. So driver 2, first one was driver 1, that is social media collapsed the distance between aspirations and reality. And then driver 2 is, in Ghana, appearance has always carried social weight. Social media just turbocharged it. Yes, social media just turbocharged it. Now let's be honest about the cultural layer here. Ghana has always had a strong culture of social signaling. Funerals with elaborate displays, church outfits that communicate status, the pressure to show that you are doing well for your family, for your community, for your name. This isn't new. This is not all bad. Yes, this is not all bad. Community pride and the desire to honor your family through your presentation has real cultural value. But social media turbocharged it, took something that used to play out in your neighborhood and broadcast it to thousands. Took something that happened a few times a year, a wedding, a funeral, a naming ceremony, and made it a daily performance. And for young people trying to establish themselves, trying to prove they are not failing, trying to meet the expectation that they should be visibly succeeding by a certain age, the pressure to perform that success even before it's real became almost unbearable. So the fake worth isn't just vanity, it's a coping mechanism, a way of managing an anxiety that's genuinely crashing, the fear of being seen as a failure by people whose opinion matters to you. And it's all social media. Now, driver 3, the get rich quick ecosystem is real and is profitable and predatory. Here's the parts that makes me genuinely angry. Fake wealth culture in Ghana is not just a social media phenomenon. There's an entire ecosystem built on top of it that profits directly from young people's desperation to look and feel wealthy. Fraud, Ponzi schemes, investment platforms with guaranteed returns, sakawa, betting addiction, dressed up as financial strategy. These are not fringe activities. They are pulling in young Ghanaians at scale. And the recruiting tool is almost always the same. Someone looks rich. Someone who looks like they found the shortcut. The influencer with the cars and the cash isn't just flexing. In many cases, they are recruiting. The lifestyle is the advertisement. And what's being advertised is either a fraud scheme, a betting platform, or a course teaching you how to do what they are doing, which is usually just teaching you to run the same con on someone else. Young people get pulled in not because they are naive, but because they are angry. Because legitimate pathways to wealth feel slow and uncertain, and because a person standing in front of them is a porch seems like proof that the shortcut is real. The shortcut is never real. But by the time that becomes clear, the debt is already there. Sometimes the criminal record is there too. Now, driver 4. Nobody is teaching financial reality. This is the structural failure underneath everything else. Ghana does not have meaningful financial literacy education in schools. Young people graduate from secondary school, from university, with almost no practical understanding of how money works, compound interest, the real cost of debt, how wealth is actually built, the difference between income and asset, the math of what a loan at 30% interest actually costs you over 2 years. Nobody teaches this. And so young people navigate one of the most complex and consequential aspects of adult life, money, almost entirely by instinct and meditation, imitation. And what do they imitate? What they see, which is the performance, which is also fake. So you have a generation making real financial decisions based on fictional models of wealth with no framework to evaluate what they are seeing. It's an environment actively designed to exploit that gap. The depth, the fraud, the pressure is all downstream of that foundational failure. Yes, the depth, the fraud, the pressure is all downstream of that foundational failure. This is where I said at the beginning that the problem isn't the ambition. The ambition is good. The anger to succeed, to be seen, to build something real, that's a resource. That's energy this country needs. The problem is what happens when the energy has nowhere legitimate to go, no honest model to follow, no tools to evaluate what's real versus what's performance. It doesn't disappear, it gets exploited. But here's what I've been sitting with. Every time I dig into one of Ghana's social problems on this channel, flooding, graduate unemployment, young men struggling, the pressure to leave, I keep finding the same thing underneath it. Not stupidity, not laziness, but some cultural defect, misdirected potential. People with real capability, real drive, real intelligence, pointed in directions that don't serve them, by systems that were never designed with them in mind, by incentives that reward the wrong things. And the question I keep asking is, what happens when you redirect that? Because there's a growing movement of young Ghanaians who are doing something radical. They are building wealth, real. They are building wealth, real, documented, boring, compounding wealth, and talking about it openly, not flexing a lifestyle, showing the actual process, the spreadsheet, the failed businesses, the savings rate, the slow climb. And their audiences are growing because it turns out that when someone speaks the truth into a space full of performance, people are starving for it. In the next video, I want to build on this. I want to look at what genuine wealth building looks like for a young Ghanaian in 2026, the actual pathways, the specific strategies that work in Ghana's economic context, the mindset shift that separates the people who build something real from the people who spend their lives performing something they haven't built yet. Because the goal was never the flex. The goal was always the freedom. And those are very different destinations. So if you are watching this and some part of it hits close to home, good. That means you are paying attention. That means you are honest enough with yourself to hear something uncomfortable and sit with it instead of clicking away. That honesty, that's actually the first thing you need. More than the money, more than the strategy, more than the right connections. The willingness to see your situation clearly is the beginning of changing it. And if you are watching this because you are frustrated, because you are building something real, and slowly it feels invisible next to people performing a life online, hold on. The people who build a real things often look like they are losing right up until they are not. This channel is for both of you. We are not here to shame anyone. We are here to think clearly about what's actually going on in Ghana and what would take to build something better. And if that's the conversation you want to be part of, please subscribe, hit the bell, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below. Have you ever felt the pressure to perform well before you had it? Have you seen someone you know get pulled into this? What do you think Ghana gets right and wrong? on how do we talk about success. I read every comment, and this conversation needs your voice in it. I will see you in the next one.